I'm Sarah and welcome to CoreMoodz. Today I'll be trying to participate in the Readathon, ScareAthon, created by Jessi from the channel ThisKiwi. I'm going to leave their announcement video in the description of this video. If you watch it, they explain the purpose of the Readathon and also what the prompts are, what the structure is, how you can get points and badges. And there's a document in the description of their video that explains everything even more. So ScareAthon, very intimidating because usually I don't participate in readathons, but I try to make it a successful experience for myself. So I had like a very basic and achievable TBR. Oh, also they have a Discord. I think it's also in the description of the announcement video that I'm gonna link. And in the Discord, it's a ScareAthon Discord, but it's really fun because you can do body reads and there's a lot of stuff happening. So do watch the announcement video, and if you want to know more or want to join their Discord, it's in the link is on their channel. My ScareAthon TBR. The TBR I planned, first of all, looking at the big scary bingo board. I was like, so many fun prompts. But I just looked at the prompts that I thought were achievable, that I can accomplish, and I just went for trying to do one bingo board. So the bingo board I went with is the top one is Caught in the Act. So the prompt for Caught in the Act is that you have to read a book about a heist or someone committing a crime. So I went with the book Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I only read one book from Frederick Bachman. I think it's and the one about the grandpa and the grandson. And yeah, I just don't know what to expect from him. And that book also is a double. All of the 4 books that I'm going to mention now are books that can fulfill 2 prompts. So Caught in Act, Anxious People by Frederick Bachman is what I'm planning. And for the prompt Cabin, you have to read something, a book that's about some people being in an isolated setting, and it can be that they are physically isolated, but it can also be that they're mentally isolated. I chose to read the book Moon of the Crusted Snow by Waubgeshig Rice. I didn't know that this book had a second book, and I have had this book for a while on my TBR. And it's a book about a community, an indigenous community that lives in a very isolated place. They have been living very isolated for a long time. In the recent past, 5 to 10 years ago, they started getting things like electricity, water, and being on the grid. That's how the people in the book call it. And having access to more stuff from the outside world and communicating with the outside world. But then there's this weird situation that happens that they are all of a sudden, the phones are cut off, the electricity is cut off. They can't communicate with anyone. They don't know what's happening outside of their community. And yeah, I'm not gonna, that's all I know at the moment. So it fits the Cabin prompt because they're very isolated, and they are even more isolated because of the events that are gonna happen in the book probably. The third prompt is Camera. And in this prompt, you have to go outside and at night and take a picture of the moon. If you can't go outside for whatever reason at night and take a picture of the moon, you can do that from home, from inside, from out of your window. You can take a picture of the moon at night. And the fourth prompt is Candy Cane. And the book I chose for this prompt is Sour Cherry by Natalia Theodorido. And this book is fulfilling the candy. Candy cane is means, I think it's a dark fairy tale. And Sour Cherry is inspired by the fairy tale Bluebeard, the tale of Bluebeard. So that's interesting. For the prompt Classic, I try to look in my TBR for something that would fit, that's outside of what the majority of people would think of. So I found Rubayat Omar Khayyam. It's a poetry, I think it's some kind of a poem, and Omar al-Khayyam is telling his story through that. And I think it was written in the Middle Ages. And Omar al-Khayyam is a Persian author. Well, he's he studied the stars, and he wrote poetry. He was a very well-respected philosopher. So yeah, those are the books that I'm planning to read from the big bingo board. And I thought I will add one of the scares, because there are 3 scares in 3 levels, and I'm doing the easy mode, level 1. And the book, the first prompt is your country, and for that prompt, I'm gonna try to read Blood on Her Tongue by Johanna van Veen, and because this is a Dutch author, and I'm Dutch, so yeah, I don't Blood on Her Tongue. I think it's gonna be something vampiric, maybe blood related. So yeah, we will see. The second prompt is BIPOC, and this is a book I mentioned earlier, Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wabgeshig Rice. And yeah, this book fits both the BIPOC, because it's written by an indigenous person. It fits the BIPOC and the cabin prompts on it, because you can't double up within one bingo board, but you can double up with 2 bingo boards, across 2 bingo boards. The third prompt is a healthy snack, so I'm gonna try to figure something out. And the fourth prompt is colorful cover, and for this prompt I picked Small Country by Gael Faye, and I have been trying to read this book for a really long time, and it's been so long that I kind of forgot what it's about, but the cover is very colorful, so I was like, I think it's time to read this book. The next prompt is a favorite genre, or it can also be a book that you're in the mood for, a genre that you're in the mood for. And yeah, I picked Sour Cherry by Natalia Theodoro, because I feel like, yeah, this time of year, a dark fairy tale, I think I will enjoy that. There's also a higher or lower prompt, and there's instructions about this prompt in Jessi's video, because there's this game from another booktuber that is involved in describing this prompt, and it's basically about playing cards, and you have to put 2 playing cards next to each other, and you can be like, okay, I think my playing card is going to be higher or lower than the house's playing card. If you win, then you get to read the book you want, and if you lose, you have to read the book. I think both books, your book and the book that you have to select 2 books. One book is the book you want to read, and one book you don't want to read, and then you play the game, and then if you win, you read your book, and if you lose, you read both books. So the books I picked are Hunger by Choi Jin Young, and I think Hunger is a story. I'm not sure. All I know is that there is some kind of intense, extreme horror aspect, and it's a little bit gory. That's all I know. And the other book is The Possession of Abba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. I picked this book because I don't usually like books about possession, but I've been intrigued about this book. That's why it's still on my TBR. But it's like the word possession, especially in this kind of title. Yeah, but Isabel Cañas is an author a lot of people have been talking about, and I've been saying that they incorporate a lot of romance. So I thought, maybe it won't be as intense. So those are the 2 books, and then the 7th prompt is Read the Beats, and Read the Beats is a series on ThisKiwi, Jessi's channel. They have a playlist, and in this playlist they have all their Read the Beats videos, and you have to pick one of the videos, because Read the Beats is basically Jessi and a co-booktuber both pick 3 songs for each other, and then they have to find books that can remind them of the songs, or that link them to the songs, and then read the 3 books and then talk about it. So in the Read the Beats playlist, there are a lot of videos from Jessi, and also from the other people that made videos in collaboration with Jessi, and you can go into there, pick a song that you like, or that inspires you, or that reminds you of a book, and yeah, read the book that you picked. So the song that I picked was Harry Styles' Golden. Golden as I open my eyes, hold it. And the text of the song, the lyrics of the song, and the cover linked me to the book Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. So that's also a book that doubles up the Caught in an Act prompt and the Read the Beats prompt. The next prompt is Middle Grade, Read a Middle Grade. I don't even remember the last time I read a middle grade. I think it was Amari and the Knight Brothers, maybe. So I'm happy to read the middle grade. I've kind of gradually stopped reading YA. And I've never been someone to read middle grade, but sometimes now and then I'm okay with reading a YA book or a middle grade book. Yeah, so the book I picked is The Zombies by Tracy Baptiste, and I don't know what it's about. I think it's about children somewhere in the Caribbean encountering zombies. I don't know what zombies are. I don't know if they're spirits or creatures or something in between. So that's what this book's about. And the last prompt is Body Read, and the book I picked for that is Readathon 2.0, the book I mentioned in a big bingo board under the prompt Classic. And I'm gonna be reading it with a family member. So yeah, that's my plan. I tried to pick short books. I tried to pick a variety of different books, and so I hope it goes well. I just saw that Jessi from ThisKiwi, the person organizing and that created this readathon, is doing ScareAthon kickoff sprints early. So I have to rush. I'm not really rush because I've been excited. So I wanted to start, but I have to decide what to start with. It's Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, and I know nothing about. I've only read one book, Frederick Bachman. My cats are playing, so I hope you're not. This is not too much distraction, the back noise. But I'm gonna read Anxious People, and Anxious People I thought was just a straight up thriller, but a lot of people have told me it's like a thriller with a heart. It's like a thriller that has motivations of the people and why is someone doing something. So I thought, oh, that seems interesting. So I'm going to start with Anxious People. I started reading Anxious People last night. So I'm 60 something percent into Anxious People, and as I expected, it's about a criminal act, someone doing something against the law, robbing people, staging a heist, but it has heart. So during the heist, first of all, you get a perspective of the person who's doing the heist. Why are they doing this? Why do they need? What are the circumstances of this person to have to do this kind of a thing? And so in that way, you get like a lot of you get connected and emotionally attached to the person. And then while the heist is happening, the people that are contained, that are hostage, very interesting because those people are not acting like it's a hostage situation. They're acting as if it's a group therapy. Not to that extent, but it's like they're talking about their lives and the things that are hard and the things that are different. And some of them are older, and some of them are young. And there's a pregnant woman that has to have a child, and her dad has passed away. So she feels like the person that supported her most is not there anymore. So it's like I thought it was very interesting and also very human. And also it reminded me also of when I looked at the lyrics of the song, loneliness and different other elements. But I thought there's a overlap about the mindset of the people in the book, if that makes sense. So that's a good fit. And yeah, I'm going to try to finish it. I had an appointment earlier today, so I read more while I was commuting. And I wanted to go into a few places. I went to the pet store. I wanted to, I had a couple of things that I needed to get, and I wanted to vlog it, but there was a demonstration in the city, and I was like, I'm not gonna film because I just don't want people to be recognized somewhere. So no clips. I have finished Anxious People. I gave it 3 stars, and the story started as I explained earlier. There's a person who because of circumstances feels trapped, feels like they have to commit a robbery, and then things go left. And I think, which I kind of expected from the author, the sentimental side, the sharing of emotions, of experiences, of every one of the hostages having a, what is it called? Backstory, a reason why they're there, something tragic, something that makes them their own person with their baggage. I just think that's interesting, and also it makes a simple story a little bit more complex. But it is a simple story. That's why it's 3 stars, because I saw all the twists. I knew what was gonna happen, and I kind of felt how the ending would probably go. but it was a positive experience nevertheless. So that was Anxious People. Frederick Bachman. I don't think I'm gonna read from Frederick Bachman in the future, unless I feel like the synopsis is very interesting, because I don't really reach for books that there are books that are written in a way that those authors are trying to make you cry. He doesn't, the way he does it is a little bit more real and more heartfelt, and it's like more embodied with emotions, if that makes sense. But I still don't like that kind of writing. And I already talked about starting Blood on Her Tongue. I am 80-something%, I think 84% into Blood on Her Tongue. And Blood on Her Tongue is a story set in 1800s Netherlands, and it's about two twin sisters. One of the sisters is married to the other sister's first love, which make the sisters' relationship very interesting, because there's a weird dynamic between the two of them. I don't know if it's competitiveness or dependence, or there's something going on with the way how they see themselves and how they communicate with each other. The dynamic is very interesting. So the sister that is married gets sick, starts writing to her sister, and the sister feels like her sister's illness is getting very bad. So she leaves her job is she's someone with the titles. I almost want to say assistant, but I think in that time you had ladies' maids or something. So she was, or companion or something. So she leaves that and goes to her sister to help her. And then you see the weird dynamic between her and her sister, the weird dynamic between her and her sister's husband. There's another, some kind of doctor that knows everyone, and they were like really close from when they were really young. So the themes that I thought were interesting so far are being a woman in that time, having symptoms, and how those symptoms are ultimately mental health, hysteria, and that is how doctors that are men, looked at women at that time. It's like there's no other scientific reason why someone would be getting those symptoms. And her symptoms are very vague, but I do think that at the very least you can think of investigating. Is there possibly something physically wrong with her? But that's not what the men think in the story, and what the men think is what's happening. And also, it's better for the husband to contain the situation, to make sure no one knows about the illness because of the name of the family. So I think all those themes are interesting. The place of women, the way women are regarded, the way women are sexualized, all of these themes are very interesting. And the horror in the story, I'm not going to say exactly what, even though the title kind of spoils it. I don't think I've ever read that kind of story, and then that kind of scientific implementation. I thought that was very interesting about the origin of what's going on. Where I am in the story, I just wanted to wrap up. I think this story would have been more my thing if it was a novella, because I feel there are parts that I like the writing, I like the exploration, I like the letters, I like the description of what's going on, the horror elements. But I think there was a way to do it compact. So I don't think, even though it's like 353 pages, so it's not a long book, but for the story it feels long. So that's why I'm just gonna read the last couple of chapters, and then I'll come back with my final review. And I already started the Sour Cherry, and Sour Cherry I started it last night thinking, oh, I'll just read it before bed, but I was so aghast. It's so shocking. And let me see what the synopsis is. A stunning reimagining of Bluebird, one of the most mythologized serial killers, twisted into a modern tale of toxic masculinity, a feminist sermon, and a folktale for the 21st century. So that's like the thing that is written on top in a Goodreads book description section. I'm not gonna go into what the book's about yet. I just want to know what what's important, what isn't important, and what I can say in general. That's what I'm reading. I'm going to try to at least get to 50% before I come back to talk about it. And I'll probably finish Blood on Her Tongue, so then I'll be able to talk about both books. So I just finished Sour Cherry, and it has been a disappointment. I think I went into it thinking the atmosphere is amazing, the writing is great, but then nothing happened. It was like a lot of repetition, and Bluebeard is already a very simple story. So if you just, it's like the next wife, the next wife, the next wife, and I'm like, I just don't even remember what the wives are called. So the writing is amazing. It's dark, it's haunting, you can smell the rot, but I don't think it went anywhere, and it was too ambiguous. I think if there was too much atmosphere and just nothing happening, so I just feel like that on top of the ending that is even vaguer than anything, so it was just disappointing. And I think I'm disappointed because I've had, I think since the middle of September, everything I've read from the middle of September until today has been 3 stars. So I've been picking very different kind of books, so I think I'm the problem. So I'm just gonna try to read something completely outside of what I usually read. So I'm gonna do the high-low prompt. I'm gonna do it. I think I have to look up I have to do something with the cards, and I think I'm gonna use an online generator. I have to forget not to record that, and I'll be back with my with what book I have to read. The book that I want to read is Hunger by, it's a Korean author. I don't remember the last name, Choi something. And the book I'm hesitant to read is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas, I think. So I'm hesitant when it comes to possession, and then it's an author I'm not familiar with, but I've heard good things. Well, except that they have a lot of romance in their horror, and that's to me a big question mark how that works. I don't think I've ever read a horror that I liked that had romance. So yeah, I'm just gonna see what the outcome is, and I'll be back. I won. So the book that I'll be reading is Hunger by Chae Jin Young, and it's a very interesting story because it's about a woman. Her husband dies, and then what she decides to do with the body. Very interesting. So I'm very intrigued to pick up Hunger. So, but I think I'm gonna read the Isabel Cañas book anyway. I hope I have the time, but I'm gonna read both. Hey, so I just filmed 2 videos, and I thought I completely forgot to update everyone about the books that I was gonna read. I read, for the high-low prompt, I read The Possession by Alba Diaz, and I really liked that book. It was like, even though I don't like possession that much, it was well written. I like the story. There's a romance going on. I think I'm gonna read from the author more. I like the tension, and I really like the ending. Yeah, really strong book. I also read Hunger, and that book was really, I think I'm done with grief horror for a while. I think maybe I've read too much, maybe the theme has been everywhere, and yeah, it happens. But I think that even though it's a strong book, it's a good book, it's about mainly grief and how losing someone can affect a person. I just think I wasn't in the space to receive the book the way a neutral person would have received the theme. Yeah, but I finished it, and I'm giving it 3 stars. And I started Moon of the Crusted Snow. Moon of the Crusted Snow I'm reading for 2 prompts. The first is Cabin, reading a book about people being in an isolated setting, physically or mentally. And it also fits the BIPOC prompt because it's about an indigenous community. So Moon of the Crusted Snow. It's a book that's been on my TBR for a really long time. And it's about an isolated community somewhere where there's a lot of snow in North America, I think.
and it's a little bit dystopian because, or maybe post-apocalyptic in the first phases of a post-apocalyptic time. There's also climate horror elements. It's about a community that's very isolated, mostly self-sufficient, and then but they do need certain types of stuff, and all of a sudden the electricity goes out, the internet goes out, no one's reacting to the phone lines and stuff, and reception, and even there they have like this special phone that you can use that goes through a satellite. Even that, no one is answering. So then they start to feel very isolated and confused and not knowing what's going on. And yeah, where the story goes is very interesting, and it's a very slow story so far, but it's like the characters are very interesting, and the sense of community, the sense of people coming together, trying to survive. I think I like that kind of. I really like. I'm 60% into it, so I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna wash my makeup off and get something to eat, and then I'm gonna try to finish the book. And hey, get your butt away from me. Yeah, it's so far just about what I just talked about. So far it's just about what I talked about, the community being isolated, and then how that can get dangerous. There was one thing that I thought was very human. People hoarding when they hear, oh, things might go left. Everyone running to the stores to get all the food, even though everyone's telling them, hey, try to ration. Just take only what you need. Someone else can need something. That's not how humans think. Maybe I'll add a clip of when the pandemic happened, people hoarding toilet paper and stuff. But yeah, I really like the writing. It's a very simple story so far, but I really like it. I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna try to finish it. Already said that, and my next read is gonna be Small Country by Gael Faye, I think is the author's name, and that book is gonna be for the prompt colorful cover. So yeah, I'll finish this book, and then I'll come back when I know something about the next book I'm gonna read. Because most of the times I do research, I hear about books, I look into books, and then books seem interesting, so I put them on my TBR. But then I've completely forget. By the time I want to pick them up, I know that I want to read them, but I don't remember what the facts of the story are. And I sort books on my TBR by mood, by genre, by speed, so then I know what I want and what I need. But then not always do I know what the story is actually about. So yeah, but I'll come back when I know more.
So, Moon of the Crusted Snow. I finished it. It's a book that really touched me because it's a story about an indigenous community that lives in a very isolated place, and then all of a sudden electricity cuts out. The outside world is not communicating. They don't know why. What happened? Is it a temporary thing? Is this a forever thing? And then little by little, you start to understand what's going on. And I think what was really what moved in me about the story and why I gave this book 4 stars is because, let me take glass off, reflection is annoying, but why it really resonated with me is it's about the part about the indigenous people. It's modern times, so then a lot of the traditions and the elements that they were taught that could help them through such a tough situation, the younger generation don't have that knowledge because they haven't lived without the luxuries, and they're not even luxuries, but like electricity. The older generations didn't have a connection to the electricity grid, so they're used to having different ways to generate energy or make the houses warm. So I think the reconnecting with the old indigenous ways of life, I think that part of the story was really beautiful. On the other side, there's also, it's in almost every story, someone from the outside comes to the community in a very tough time, and then things escalate. And I think even though I can see why people love that part of the story, to me, that other part, the part about the indigenous people connecting with the old ways and knowing that they have lived through hard times and they will live on, if that makes sense, I think that was really beautiful. So I think it's definitely a book I would recommend. I wouldn't say it's a thriller. I would say it's more of a climate, post-apocalyptic story, and it's very slow. So it's more about those big concepts, more than it's about a thrilling story, if that makes sense. So that was Moon of the Crusted Snow. And then I read Small Country by Gael Faye. So I picked this up because of the cover. The cover's a little bit colorful. There's different colors, very splash. I really like the cover. And it fits the prompt that it was selected for in ScareAthon. And the book is about the Rwanda and Burundi genocide that happened. And it was the Hutsi and Tutsi, I think, people. And that situation, I only know about it from hearing from people that saw the news about it at the time. So to me, I thought it was a story between, two countries, one country attacked another country, and then a genocide happened. But that's far from what the actual situation is, because the two people that this story is about are not divided by two countries. They're just two different people that have the same religion, are the same people, but they're just different. They're called different, and they both live in both countries, in Rwanda and in Burundi. And then because of outside influences, and I blame the French 100%, because colonization has not helped any country ever. So the French backed a minority group because that's like the playbook for Western colonizing countries. So they backed the minority group in Rwanda, and that caused a lot of tensions and a lot of unfair treatment. And things went completely left and to unhumane levels. And then there was a opposite reaction in Burundi, because in Burundi was the split between the peoples was different. So then the people that are a minority in Rwanda are a majority in Burundi. So they felt like they had to react to the atrocities they were seeing and hearing about, and family members that ran away and tell them this is what happened. So and the part about the UN, that part is like I don't even know if I want to think about it. It's like the UN is supposed to step in and do something about the situation, but the protocols, the levels of, we can be there, but we can't intervene, we can't do this, we can't do that. I think this is the genocide that happened. It's like, I don't think any genocide comes close in modern times to the numbers, because it was like in a short time, a lot of people dying. So in Small Country, this book, the entire situation, you see it from the eyes of a child, a 10-year-old child. And this child, he's I think his father's friend, and his mother is from Rwanda, and they are the way this child sees everything happening and interprets why people are mad, why people are split, why are people being attacked, and the amount of violence that is witnessed by this child and how this child internalizes. It's such a painful book to read because a child should not be exposed to this, feel this, go through this. And I just, it's not in this time while the world is going through what's happening all over the world. I think it was a good book for me to read, to be in touch with why it's important to be informed about what's happening in other countries and everywhere in the world. Because in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15, in 20 years, people are going to forget, and they're going to think the narrative, whatever the government's telling, that's probably the truth. And that's how the story, the victor is the one that tells you what happened. So it's important to be informed, to read. And I'm not saying you have to doom scroll or let it get to a level that you are influenced mentally. But I just feel like the least that I can do is be informed. I'm currently reading Rubaiyat Omar al-Khayyam by Omar Khayyam. And I didn't know it was going to be a poem. Like, it's very much giving me epic poem. It's like, no, epic is a little bit out there. I think it's more of a poem about the different thoughts and different things that inspire him, that he thinks about. And it's very, some parts are about mundane daily life and things about very interesting insights that he has. And I think it's very, even though it's very short, I think it's very informative, and I'm really enjoying it. But I will have to say that I had to stop the audiobook because the narrator sucks, the translation sucks, the pronunciation sucks. So I had to find the ebook version, and the ebook version is definitely the better choice to tackle this text. And I'm sad that I couldn't get my hands on an Arabic version, even though the original language that it was written in is, I think, Farsi. But I think the Arabic translation would have been a little bit closer, because I feel like the English translation is a little bit too modern feeling, because this book is really old, and it's for the classic prompt. And I just feel like the English translation is a little bit too modern. So that's a little bit sad. But I'm going to finish it, I think, in an hour. I'll report back tomorrow, because tomorrow I'll tackle the last book on my list, and it's The Zombies. I already started it, but I think I read a few chapters, and I was like, because middle grade is really hard for me to read, and I almost never read YA. I think YA fantasy is maybe the only exception here and there. So I'm gonna finish Rubaiyat Omar al-Khayyam tonight. I'm gonna finish The Zombies tomorrow, and I'll report back when I'm 40% into The Zombies. And that'll be the last book I'm gonna tackle.
Hi, I'm on my way out to the city, and I just wanted to say Rubaiyat Omar al-Khayyam. I read it for I think it was the buddy read on the easy little scare list or bingo board, and it was on a classic because it was written in the Middle Ages. I think the original language is Farsi, and I read buddy read it with a family member, and what can I say? I feel like I shouldn't have read the English translation, because I feel like the Arabic translation might have been closer to the original Farsi. Even though I can tell that the translator really did their best, there was something missing. The metaphors and all the examples and the things that I think culturally the translator didn't understand certain specific things, so it sounded weird to me. But overall, I would say it is an okay translation. I will maybe try other translations, or try to get my hands on Arabic translation and then compare. That would be a fun project. And basically, it's poetry. It's about Omar Khayyam's life and his romantic feelings, and it's also beautifully written. And it's rubayat. Literally, is a translation for the word I think quadrant. And I think in poetry you have a structure, so I think that's what it means. Let me see. I finished a small countries. That book was traumatizing. It was really sad, but it was really beautiful because, yeah, I have to look more into history about certain African countries I know nothing about. So that inspired me to make a list and tackle. Well, it's gonna be a life, and I have to like be mindful of that and read, look for books, because those books are not gonna be the books marketed to me. Let me see. Did I read anything else? Oh, I also no. I think that was it. Those were the books I was planning to read, and I finished them. So I'll wrap up in the next video, in the next clip. I'm going into the city. Yeah, that's it.
So I'm gonna wrap up the books that I read. I read Blood on Her Tongue. That was 3.5 stars. I read Moon by the Crusted Snow. That was 4 stars. I read Small Country. That was 4 stars. I read Sour Cherry. That was 3 stars. Hunger. That was also 3 stars. The Possession of Abba Diaz was 3.5 stars. Anxious People was 3 stars. The Zombies was 4 stars. And Rubaiyat Omar Khayyam was 4 stars. I think it was very interesting. It was really fun. And I think I've read a lot of books that I wouldn't typically read in October, and also a couple of books that have been on my TBR for a while. So did you participate in ScareAthon? How was your experience? Let me know in the comments. What did you end up reading in October? And yeah, if there's a book you think I'm gonna like, or I should put on my TBR based on the books I read and how I enjoyed them or didn't enjoy them, let me know. And thank you for watching. Bye.